back. Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reboot of Crash the Canvas. I'm your host, David Mitchell, a.k.a. Dirty Mitch. It's been a while, hasn't it? Tell you where I've been, what's been going on. As you can see, got some new gigs, new setup here. Explain that in a little bit and devil into that, as well as the year that was in 2022 of pro wrestling. What a great way to be great year to be a wrestling fan, and coming off the post-pandemic era that was in sports entertainment. But get ready, strap in, hold on tight. Let's go for a ride, shall we? Well, what a year it was. What a year it was to be a wrestling fan, not just WWE but AEW. Neither one of them fell short on supplying content, whether it be good or bad, but they got people watching the product and their product. Started off with the year with the Royal Rumble, which set up was the Royal Rumble is always the last corner for WrestleMania, and it set up a pretty nice story between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. I loved the Seth Roman at the Rumble, right? Seth coming out as the Shield. You had Lesnar Lashley. They cost Brock the title. Oh, so now what's he got to do to face Roman? I got to win the Rumble. So he wins the Rumble, right? Not only that, but he wants to go to the Rumble as champion, WWE champion. And Roman is the Universal champion, this belt here. That's right. Tribal Chief, acknowledge me. Yeah, you got it. Thank you to my lovely wife, Christina, for this wonderful Christmas gift. You can't hear it. Yeah, that's the metal. Yeah. But anyway, so they set up a good thing, Elimination Chamber, Mania in front of almost 80,000 people at AT&T Stadium, home of the Cowboys. Go Cowboys. I was in attendance. Awesome atmosphere. Awesome atmosphere. I'll talk about that a little bit later in this episode. But to me, the climax to that story was SummerSlam. And you got to go watch it. Go watch the replay on Peacock. But Brock Lesnar, you want to talk about what else can we do? We do a last man standing match, right? And what does Brock Lesnar do? He comes out in a tractor of all things, and makes the tractor part of the match. And, shout out to the ring crew and whoever set that ring up and put that ring together at SummerSlam in Nashville. Because when Brock picked that up and lifted it, how it didn't break or something snap is beyond me. But what else in the year in the WWE? You still had the continued dominance of Roman Reigns, who is now well over 850 days, and which is, I think, fourth all time. Bruno's number one. I think Backlund 2, Hogan 3, right? And Roman 4. Obliterating. Hopefully we're still going to get the Rock Roman at WrestleMania. We'll know here in a couple weeks come Royal Rumble time. But if we don't, a Roman Cody main event, I would love to see, because I will, again, second year in a row, be in attendance. WrestleMania. That's right. Not only Roman, but the Usos tag team dominance are they not cementing their legacy uh, as one of the greatest of all time? Definitely, top, arguably, definitely top 10. Could make an argument for top 5, right? And that's saying something with the length of tag teams and the how far you can go back and pull great tag teams that would make an argument for top 5. Um, but two of the most shocking things, and actually, I'll touch on one of them: the Triple H takeover, right? And we'll get into the what led to that uh, here in a little bit in the top 3. But talk about breathing a life of fresh air into a dormant, stale product, in my opinion. And when I say that with all due respect to the talent, but you can only do what the producers, the writers, and in that case, Vince McMahon want you to do, right? You're only going to see on TV what they want you to see. That's why the house shows are so entertaining, because they're not on TV, they're not recorded. They can, interact with the crowd. Also, shout out to Monster Energy. But I went to 2 shows this past year in June consecutively. I went to Dynamite and Rampage in Kansas City, which was awesome. Awesome, right? And then I went to Raw the following Monday, right? And 2 totally different atmospheres, right? Whereas the AEW shows seemed kind of like a high school, college frat party, right? So to speak. Whereas Monday Night Raw seemed like a junior high pep rally, right? A controlled environment. Also want to say this about AEW. Um, Big shout out to Tony Khan for doing this. Is there was a seating error, I guess, if you will, in the sections that run on each side of the ramps, and I think it was how the tickets were sold versus how the arena had actually numbered the seats. Anyway, people that were supposed to be at the rail were at the aisle, and vice versa. Well, obviously, the people at the rail that were supposed to be at the rail were pissed. Tony Khan comes from out of the back and addresses each group and said, "I will make it right." And he made the arena security switch the tickets. I mean, switch the seats the way that the tickets were sold. So big kudos to that. Um, Also, it was a pretty good, but like I said, the atmosphere would be like if you compared the Titanic. Go back to the movie Titanic, right? Remember upstairs how it was all elegant and proper and, yada, yada, yada. And downstairs they were fucking partying and having a fucking good time, drinking beer, dancing. Upstairs was WWE. Downstairs was AEW. But put on the brakes, because come August, as we all know, and I'll get into here in a little bit, some things happened in the WWE that rocked the wrestling world, right? And when the rubble was done falling and the smoke was cleared, one Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, was announced head of creative, and since then hasn't disappointed, in my opinion. Um, Over on the AEW side, I guess you could say this was the year of the interim titles, new titles, and media scrums. Yeah. So the year of the new titles, Tony Khan introduced the trios tag team titles, right? which is basically world six-man titles. And if you, though, the looks of them look kind of like a reminiscent of a WCW tag team title. And then the All Atlantic Championship, right? So not high on either one of them, right? You you had enough, in my opinion, with the TBS and the TNT, and then the women's and the men's and the tag titles. Run with that, right? Don't water it down with titles, because then you brought, you also purchased Ring of Honor. So now, without having your own Ring of Honor show, you've got to try to interject those Ring of Honor titles into AEW television. So you got the Ring of Honor tag titles, the Ring of Honor title, and the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, and the Ring of Honor TV Championship, which is currently held by Samoa Joe, who is also the TNT champion. But you're watering it down, Tony. Scale back on the titles. Or here's an idea. Your obviously your world title, your women's championship, your tag belts. Those make them dynamite, right? Then you have your TBS title, and put some of those titles strictly for Dark, right? And Elevation. Have some of those titles strictly for Rampage, and obviously in Dynamite. But trying to get all those titles, it'd be almost like if you were to put all those titles on every show, or try to feature them on every show. Every match would be like a title match or involving a champion. So, just my opinion. Just a fantasy booker here. I'm just a fan. But also the year of the interim titles. Due to injury, the great Thunder Rosa had to eventually relinquish it. She was out with the injury. So Tony Storm was named the interim champion, who eventually lost to Jamie Hayter. Right on the heels of that, it was announced that Thunder Rosa wouldn't be able to compete. I guess at least for the rest of the year, maybe a little bit, obviously a lot longer, and relinquished the interim part. Okay, the world title. This is where this gets interesting, and we'll end it in the AEW comments with the media scrum. CM Punk beats Hangman Adam Page, becomes AEW World Champion, right? Immediately following that, he breaks a bone in his foot. I think it was a broken bone. Either way, instead of stripping him, Tony bowed and said, okay, you're still the champ. We'll hold a mini tournament or whatever. And then the winner will be the interim champ. I think that happened at the Arthur Ashe Stadium show. Eventually, Jon Moxley was crowned your AEW Interim World Champion, and CM Punk returns, loses in surprising, shocking fashion, right? We'll see if that made the list of shocking moments of the year, right? Which set up for a rematch in which he won, right? Now the interim's taken off, right? And then the media scrum happens. I think Tony should scratch the media scrums. And obviously, he hasn't, because after MJF recently won, I think that was more of a promo and I'm out. But the way that they had been doing the media scrums, CM Punk, if you guys have not seen it, it's all over the internet. Just go search AEW Media Scrum or CM Punk Media Scrum. You'll see what I'm talking about. He airs personal feelings about Hangman Adam Page, the Elite, which is Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, and obviously Colt Cabana, aka Scott Colt. And the fallout from that was supposedly the Kenny Omega and the Bucks went to his locker room, and a fight, some type of scuffle ensued. In the end, uh, Kenny Omega and the Bucks were suspended. Both all parties involved, Kenny Omega and the Bucks, and CM Punk, were suspended. Both were stripped of the titles. So CM Punk was stripped of the AEW World Title, and the Elite was stripped of the trios titles. Right. Then Moxley was recrowned. Then the fallout of that, eventually the Elite are back now. CM Punk's run in AEW is over. A contract, supposedly a contract buyout, is either in the works. It's already happened. Uh, don't know if it's already happened. Don't know the financial details and all the details. Could he go back to WWE? Who knows? Never say never, because that's kind of the theme of 2022. Never say never. Things that you never thought you'd see happened in 2022, and we'll get into that. But first, already had my finishing up my first cup of coffee of wonderful hardcore coffee. What is that you say? That's coffee sponsored by Tommy Dreamer, ECW original, the innovator of violence, the landlord of the House of Hardcore, and one of the great co-hosts of Busted Open Radio. Has hardcore coffee. You can go to richportcoffee.com. That's richportcoffee.com, right? And hit the drop down box and hit hardcore coffee. You can get you a bag either in beans or already ground. Have it delivered. Awesome coffee. Awesome coffee. If you're a coffee lover and drink coffee daily, you'll enjoy it. That's richportcoffee.com. Hit the drop down box, click on hardcore coffee. Also, check out LaGrecaRage.com for you some awesome hot sauce. That's LaGrecaRage.com. Get you a bottle autographed. Get you a bottle for the man cave. Put up on the shelf. Also put a bottle in the cabinet and use on anything you use hot sauce on. That's LaGrecaRage.com. LaGrecaRage.com. Now, before we get into actually, let me touch up a little bit about Impact Wrestling. If it's personal between Bully and Tommy, and this is, some of it's a shoot because I've listened to enough of them on Busted Open Radio. Bully is a shooter. So it's made compelling television and compelling radio, because after the episode, it was just before Christmas, but it was the episode where Tommy and Bully had the promo in the ring, and then Bully made comments about Tommy's mom, whatever and whatnot. I could not wait to hear them on the radio together, and that made for compelling radio. It made me interested to watch Impact again. So that was pretty awesome. As you can hear, the dogs are in the background. Studio here. So, but onto the NWA. What I found kind of unprofessional, in my opinion, unprofessional and distasteful, was Billy Corgan, and Billy Corgan's way of handling the um, there. But anyway, Billy Corgan went on Busted Open Radio to announce backstage politics. And I kind of thought that distasteful. Maybe you're trying to promote a show. Maybe you're trying to promote something going on. But the deal with Nick Aldis, you lost the gem there, brother. I guarantee you lost the workhorse. And kind of stopped watching myself, in my opinion. But that's just me. But anyway, so let me talk about myself for a moment and what's been going on. The last time I talked to you guys, the last time you guys heard from me, seen me, was just before Halloween, my anniversary with my wife. But in the meantime, we moved, which was a big thing, as you can tell. New studio, new digs, new setup down in the basement. Give a video tour someday. But so that's what I've been doing. Obviously, still been working like a government mule, slaving to the grind for Johnson Controls. But as long as they're putting the carrot in front of the mule, so to speak, I guess I'll keep going. But anyway, so that's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. Always though, still been keeping up with my love for pro wrestling, whether it be WWE, AEW, Impact, NWA, the Indies. The best place to catch that and to catch all your news and rumors and opinions and whatever and whatnot is on Busted Open Radio, Monday through Saturday, Central Time, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time. That would be 7 to 10 Eastern, right? Whatever, 9 to noon Eastern, 7 to 10 out in Colorado, and 6 to 9 out in Cali, something like that. Anyway, you do the math. But Busted Open Radio on Sirius XM satellite, channel 156, with host, the Prince of ISPW, Dave LaGreca, with his co-host, Bully Ray, Mark Henry, Tommy Dreamer, Mickey James, Thunder Rosa. He's got the hardest working production team in all of radio with Gabby, Andre, Paul. These guys rock. Anyway, tune in. Busted Open Radio, channel 156, Sirius XM satellite radio, Monday through Saturday. They also do a master's class. You subscribe to Sirius XM, you can get the master's class, which is an awesome podcast listen with Dave and some of the Hall of Famers as they break down all kinds of topics in the world of professional wrestling. But anyway, so we're going to end this, right? Top 3. I didn't do a top 5. Top 5 take too long. Excuse me. Lame and cliche in my opinion, but top 3. We're going to start with the top 3 women, right? Top 3 women. Number 3, I'm going to go with Jade Cargill. Nobody's beat her. She should be higher, but workload's not as high, in my opinion. But everything she's done, knocked out of the park. Number 2, Jamie Hayter. That's right, AEW Women's World Champion. Enough said, right? Number 1, Bianca Belair. What a year she's had. She won the title at WrestleMania last year from Becky Lynch. Has defended it all year, and on pace to walk into WrestleMania this year as your Raw Women's Champion a whole year. So Bianca Belair, kudos to you. Top 3 tag teams. This one's kind of difficult. This has got to be your top 3, right? These 3 teams have to be your top 3. Now the order you put them in is on you, or the eyes of the person, but these have to be your top 3 tag teams. Number 3, the Acclaimed. I mean, they have the hottest thing going with the Scissor Me Daddy, right? Took that, put it on his shirt, made millions. Number 2, FTR, top guys. Enough said, right? The only 2 tag team titles they didn't hold this year were the AEW And of course, they're not in WWE, but those are the only ones. They held them everywhere: Ring of Honor, AAA, New Japan, All Japan, IWGP. If there was a tag team title, they had it. So FTR, top guys, number 2. Number 1 got to be the Usos, right? Unifying the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles, still being top team. Remember the Bloodline, can't touch them, right? Just passed the New Day as the longest tag team champions in WWE history, right? Let's see. Enough said, though. So your top 3 tag teams, the Acclaimed, FTR, and the Usos. Top 3 men, I might ruffle some feathers here, but these are my top 3. I'm going to go with Gunther at number 3. People are going to kind of scratch their head. What? Gunther had a hot year. The Imperium is showing some dominance, right? And he's a dominating brute force in the ring. If we can get this, they're hinting at a Brock Gunther match at WrestleMania, which would be interesting. Will Gunther go over? We'll see. But Intercontinental Champion, I mean, go look at Clash at the Castle with him and Sheamus. That match was brutal, right? Go look at, were they in War Games? No, it was the Brawl. Never mind. But anyway, that match was brutal. But Gunther at number 3. Number 2, without question, Jon Moxley. If it wasn't for the person in number 1, Moxley would have been number 1 hands down. Jon Moxley became multi-time AEW World Champion, has most title reigns in AEW history. One of the pillars of the company, right? Top guy. Awesome. Love him in the ring. Big fan. Jon Moxley, number 2. And number 1, obviously, got to do it like this. Mr. Acknowledge Me himself, right? Number 1, for you listeners that are listening on Spotify and iTunes, I have the blue. I'm holding the blue Universal Championship that my wife, I love you, Christina, got me for Christmas. But number 1, Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief. Can't continue to have the most dominating reign in WWE history since Hulk Hogan and not be the top guy of 2022. From your matches this year with Drew McIntyre, Brock Lesnar, Logan Paul at Crown Jewel was such a surprise match, right? You can't have a year like that and still carry the torch, right, for the top company in the business, right, and without being number 1. So Tribal Chief, number 1. So your top 3 men, Gunther, Jon Moxley, Roman Reigns. Your most shocking, the 3, to me, most shocking things happened in the WWE and also kind of surrounded one weekend, really. If you kind of look at the timeline, yeah, number 1 didn't happen till later on, but the seeds were probably planted right about Mania weekend when you go look at what happened. But the number 3 most shocking thing to me this year was Cody Rhodes returning to the WWE. We all know it's well documented, his departure and helping start AEW, tearing down breaking the chair with the sledgehammer. We all remember all that. Turning, how do you say, throwing salt in the wound at the WWE at every turning point, every chance he got. So Cody Rhodes returning to WWE, and then having stellar matches with Seth Rollins. And I was in attendance at WrestleMania, And when Cody's voice hit, because it came on, there is more than one royal family in wrestling or something like that, but it was his voice. And the crowd popped, like the building popped. And when the American Nightmare came out, it was just wow. But then you go look at his match at Hell in a Cell, wrestling that entire match with a torn pectoral muscle, which was brutal, right? Even made ESPN. But Cody Rhodes returning to WWE, my number 3 most shocking thing I never thought I'd see in 2022. Number 2, if it wasn't for number 1, number 2 would be number 1. And that's return of Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania in Dallas. Like he said, whether it's a match, a fight, a brawl, a KO show, he was coming to whoop some ass. And that the fuck he did. When his music hit, I popped so loud that I was almost 80,000 people popped at the same time, right? And that was deafening. The building shook, literally. We were in the 4th tier at AT&T Stadium. There's 5. No, there's 4. There's 4. There's 5 in SoFi where they're having it Mania this year. But and that building popped. You could almost literally see the ceiling shaking. And he didn't disappoint. By the way, big shout out to El Segundo Brewery, right? Delivering the Stone Cold Steve Austin Broken Skull American Lager. Go to brokenskull.com, and if they don't distribute it in your area, you can order it, and it's a lot more surcharge, but yeah. Stone Cold Steve Austin returning at WrestleMania. Not returning as in an appearance, but an actual match. So, never thought that was, that goes through the theme of professional wrestling. Never say never. And the number 1 most shocking, like I said, the retirement of Vincent Kennedy McMahon from World Wrestling Entertainment. Wow. Let me say that one more time. The retirement of Vincent Kennedy McMahon from World Wrestling Entertainment. I'm going to say that one more, Jen. The retirement of Vincent Kennedy McMahon from World Wrestling Entertainment. The only time in my lifetime that I thought I would hear that, see that, or experience that would be the untimely or unfortunate passing of Vince. Right? I mean, this dude took on Ted Turner, won. Took on the federal government multiple times, won. Right? What brings him down? Same thing that brought down Bill Clinton, his own personal infidelities. Paying girls hush money. What reason, they're a publicly traded company now, so there's stocks, there's more than just his money involved. Now, mind you, he is still the primary shareholder. He still holds 51% of the stock, right? So it's still his company. He's just not involved internally anymore, right? But those allegations led to Triple H, his son-in-law, being named head of creative, his daughter Stephanie being named co-CEO or chairman of the board with Nick Khan. And, the direction has been, astonishing as a wrestling fan, right? It's kind of almost like the Wizard of Oz a little bit, like it was in black and white. And as soon as she went out the house, it was in color. That's kind of what we're experiencing. I feel that we're experiencing as a wrestling fan with the WWE since Triple H took over as head of creative. So anyway, recap the most shocking. Number 3, Cody Rhodes' return to the WWE. Number 2, Stone Cold's return at WrestleMania. And number 1, the retirement of Vincent Kennedy McMahon from World Wrestling Entertainment. Now, before we end this show real quick, I want to go over. I want to go do a personal one of my own top 3 personal moments of the year, right? And there's a lot of them when it comes to wrestling. Starting this podcast to happen this year, um, meeting awesome people like Mongrovian Mike and Tony and Chris from Baltimore, and those Nation's Corners members that I met at WrestleMania. Which, by the way, they have an awesome podcast show on YouTube. Check them out. They're usually every Saturday. It's called just search Nation's Corners, right? And check them out. They're awesome. My boy Deshaun Whipple up in Detroit. Man, much love to you. You know, this was an awesome year. But here's my top 3 personal moments, right? Number 3, and I can't. It's shocking that I survived to tell this story, right? But I drinking beer with the Sandman and living to tell about it, right? Any of you old ECW originals that happen to be listening that were in ECW, Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray, if you guys happen to listen to this or watch this, you'll appreciate. So I'm at an indie show here in Wichita, and one of the guys is the Sandman. I'm like, all right, cool, hell yeah, ECW original. I'm thinking he's just doing a autograph appearance, right? Didn't know he was still semi-active in the ring. And so I go up, I meet him, we're talking, and we're talking about fantasy football and whatnot. Take a picture, get an autograph, and then he said, "Yeah, I got to get ready for my match." And I said, "Oh, you're competing?" And he was like, "Yeah, blah 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 blah." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna go find my seat right quick. I'll be right back." I go find my ringside seat, and across the seat is a gimmicked Singapore cane. I'm like, "No," right? So I go back and tell him, ask him, I said, "Hey, you're you're still using the cane, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "I think your gimmicked cane is sitting in my chair." So I went back and took a picture of it, right? He said, "Man, bring it here." I said, "No, I'm not going to mess with it. Just know it's right here." He's like, "Bro, we're going to do some awesome shit with it," right? So fast forward to the match. Anybody that sees Sandman now, sees him compete, still does the thing, comes out with the beer, does all the beer shit, right? I'm on video of him pouring beer in my mouth. That was fucking awesome. But, and he gets the cane, he hits the motherfucker, splits him open. Promoter afterwards, before the show was even over, told his buddy, he said, "Hey, now Sandman's ready to finish getting paid. He's wanting to hit the highway soon." And promoter said, "Man, I'm gonna give you go ahead and give you the bonus for the night." He said, "I did not realize how over you still were, right? Because the crowd, there was probably about 1,000 people there. Enter Sandman hit. You already know. It's like watching an old episode of ECW. That's how ruckus the crowd was. Anyway, fast forward, and ECW original, one half of the Baldies, Angel Medina's there. Just hanging out, saying hi to the boys. And I mentioned to Sandman, he mentioned something about, "Man, what's the quickest way to get out to the parking lot without having to go out the front?" I said, "Bro, right over here, one of these exits." And then I said something about some beer. And he's like, "Sure, let's go outside and have a drink." Right? And we went outside and we drank a 12-pack and took like 4 shots in like 30 minutes. I was hammered. Still had to go to work that night. But anyway, that was number 3, drinking beer with the Sandman. Number 2 of one of my top personal moments of the year, wrestling moments, was being able to give and gift the one, the only, Dave LaGreca of Busted Open Radio. One of his dreams was to have the Georgia Championship Wrestling television title. And as you can see, back over here, right, I collect wrestling belts. We'll do, like I said, we're going to do an episode, in a future episode on wrestling belts, Conrad Thompson, would love to have you on that one. But I gifted that belt to Dave LaGreca, and man, it was awesome. He opened the box on air, him and Bully Ray. They talked to me about it, called me up, had me on the air. Dave and I have been really good friends since then. We text all the time, which leads me to the surprise of the show, right? I promised you guys guests. I promised you guys I'd try to get some guests on, whether it be a phone interview or an actual live interaction. And we've got to lock down the date and time, but it's been confirmed. I will have the one, the only Dave LaGreca on Crash the Canvas here in sometime in the near future. So thanks, Dave. You and your lovely wife, Violetta. I hope everything is all well with you guys out in Vernon, New Jersey, and you guys had a happy holidays. So number 2 was me being able to give Dave LaGreca the Georgia Championship Wrestling TV title. And number 1, you know it, WrestleMania, baby, right? WrestleMania, right? WWE does it now in 2 days. And it was down in Dallas, which isn't far from Wichita. It was a drive. And me, my wife, and my youngest son went and had a blast in Dallas, Texas. We went to WrestleMania both days. I took my son and showed him where President Kennedy was assassinated. We ate some really good Texas barbecue. Went to the Busted Open party and the roast of Dave LaGreca. Made a lot of awesome fucking memories, right? But the WrestleMania weekend has got to be the highlight of my wrestling year, right? With all the things that went on this year. I don't think I can top that until this April when we go to California for WrestleMania again. And don't worry, I'm already planning for 2024 in Philly. And Paul Levesque, Stephanie, Nick Khan, if Tommy Dreamer is not inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2024, I am still going on record that I will make the Boston Tea Party look like a junior high pep rally in Philadelphia if you guys do not put him in the Hall of Fame in Philadelphia. That's enough said. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an awesome year. A lot has went on in the world, not just wrestling, but the world period. One thing that we should all learn to do is be kind, love each other, respect each other, have fun, and just live life. Live, laugh, and love, right? You can follow me on Twitter at ShowMeStateGoon, on Facebook at David Mitchell Jr. You can email the show dirtymitch417@yahoo.com. You can catch this on YouTube, the video version. You can catch the audio version on Spotify and iTunes. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Anyway, thanks for your time. I've been your host, David Mitchell, aka Dirty Mitch, and this is your reboot episode of Crash the Canvas. And always remember, don't want to burn, but if you're going to crash, at least crash the canvas. Till next time, I'm out.